Today, I wanted to talk about Laleshwari, who is also known very fondly as Lal Ded. It is believed that Lal Ded was born somewhere around 1320 and she lived to the year 1392. Laleshwari or Lal Ded was a Kashmiri mystic and she was from the Kashmir Shaivism school of Hindu philosophy. She was the creator of a peculiar style of mystic poetry called as Vaakhs, literally speech, and she used Sanskrit mostly. These Lal Vaakhs, which are her verses, are the earliest compositions in the Kashmiri language and are an important part in the history of modern Kashmiri literature. In today's podcast, we want to talk about the initial story about Laleshwari. But before we start that, it is very important to understand the context of Kashmir during that time. It is known that Kashmir had been a center of Sanskrit learning from times immemorial. Among those who testified to this fact was the Chinese pilgrim Hyun Sang, who visited the valley in the year 631 AD. He wrote, "People of Kashmir are well cultured since learning has been held in high esteem. It has been the birthplace of the non-dualistic philosophy of Shaivism known as Trika and has produced eminent scholars and philosophers who have left an indelible mark on the history of the country." If we move ahead and talk about the earliest written history about Kashmir, Rajtarangini, we get a fairly good idea of the state of women in Kashmir in those days. It is noted that the Kashmiri women received liberal education in their parental homes and they could speak Sanskrit and Prakrit fluently. Bilhan, the poet laureate in the country of the Chalukya king, while describing his homeland of Kashmir in the last canto of his Life of Vikramanka Deva, says that the women of Kashmir spoke Sanskrit and Prakrit fluently. He was a Kashmiri scholar hailing from the village of Konumo, a few miles to the south of Srinagar, who had migrated to the south in search of a better life. By the time Lalla appeared on the scene, the situation had changed altogether. Sanskrit, along with the high philosophy of Shaivism, had become the privilege of the learned few. Kashmir in the golden days had almost 100% literacy, where people, irrespective of their sex, would be educated in very advanced languages like Sanskrit and Prakrit. Now, because only the learned few knew about Shaivism, the masses were wallowing in darkness. Lal Ded, therefore used the language of the masses to give vent to her feelings and experiences. Fortunately and luckily for mere mortals like me, her sayings are a bridge to what is basically the premise of Shaivism in Kashmir.